General Hospital will reveal Carly could not stand the sight of Wiley and Amelia living in an environment she considered unsafe, and she especially couldn't accept Drew continuing to control their lives. Her anger grew even more when she realized that Willow, their mother, was gradually losing control over how she was raising her children. Carly always believed that only a true family could protect her grandchildren, and no one else, except for her, could ensure their future. As Carly worked on ways to bring the children back, something completely unexpected happened. Wiley, though just a child, had a sharp sense and observational skills that those around him couldn't anticipate. He didn't fully understand all the happenings between the adults and what was going on in his life, but one thing was clear to him: something was wrong. He couldn't help but overhear the tense conversation between Drew and Willow as they discussed Sasha and the baby she was carrying. When Drew and Willow talked about eliminating the baby to prevent it from inheriting the Quartermain fortune, those words unintentionally reached Wiley's ears. Despite his young age, Wiley could feel the seriousness in their voices. While he didn't understand all the details, he could sense the anxiety and tension that Drew and Willow were going through. A vague feeling of fear made the child uneasy. He didn't understand why the adults were talking about an unborn child in that way, but something inside him told him that something wasn't right. Though Wiley couldn't fully grasp the reasons behind the conversation, he knew something was wrong. The intensity of the tone and the nature of the conversation caused a feeling of unease to stir inside him. His instincts told him that something bad was unfolding around him, and he felt compelled to act. Despite his lack of understanding, Wiley knew that he couldn't just sit back and do nothing when the future of an innocent child was at stake. The child, with his pure heart and instinctive protective nature, knew that he had to share what he had overheard. He didn't fully understand the gravity of the situation, but his feelings of unease were enough to tell him that he needed to protect his sibling and his family. Wiley, despite being young, trusted that Carly was the one who could help and protect him and his siblings. So, with a heart full of worry, he went to Carly and told her everything he had heard. Carly, upon hearing Wiley's account, immediately realized how serious the situation was. She quickly understood that if she didn't act fast, the unborn child would face a dangerous future, not just from Drew and Willow's plan but also because they weren't considering what was truly best for the child. Wiley's information was the turning point in the story, allowing Carly to recognize the immediate threat and act quickly to protect the children. Without hesitation, Carly began to put her plan into motion. She knew that this was her chance to intervene and get Wiley and Amelia back to safety. With the help of Monica, who had influential connections in the legal system in Port Charles, Carly immediately filed for custody of the children, determined to keep them away from Drew and Willow's influence. Carly's timely intervention completely thwarted Drew and Willow's plan, and Wiley's actions, though accidental, were the key to stopping their malicious intentions. Wiley, without intending to, had saved his unborn sibling and helped his family avoid a catastrophe. His innocent disclosure had protected not only himself but also his family, ensuring that the children would have a safe and loving home. Even though Wiley didn't fully understand the complexities of the situation, his actions made him a hero in his own story, protecting his family from harm and ensuring a brighter future for his siblings. As soon as Carly heard Wiley's account, she immediately grasped the gravity of the situation. The urgency of the moment hit her like a wave, as she struggled to comprehend that Drew and Willow could be involved in such a cruel and malicious plot, especially concerning an innocent child. Carly, whose entire life revolved around protecting her family, was stunned by the realization that Drew and Willow had been discussing plans that could endanger the unborn child in Sasha's womb. The thought that the baby's life might be manipulated for personal gain was enough to send a chill down her spine. The deeper Carly delved into the implications of Wiley's revelation, the more horrified she became. She understood now that if she didn't act swiftly, the unborn child would face a future filled with unimaginable danger. The baby was an innocent bystander in a world of deceit and betrayal, and Carly knew that this situation could only get worse if left unchecked. She realized that not only was she at risk of losing control over her grandchildren, but her entire family was standing at the precipice of disaster. If Drew and Willow succeeded, the consequences would extend far beyond just Wiley and Amelia, threatening the core of everything Carly held dear. Determined to protect her family at all costs, Carly's protective instincts kicked in. She was no longer just a grandmother upset by the decisions of her daughter-in-law, she was now a woman on a mission to prevent a tragedy. Without a moment's hesitation, Carly sprang into action, understanding that the window to intervene was closing rapidly. She had to stop Drew and Willow's twisted scheme before it could cause irreversible harm. Carly knew that she couldn't tackle this problem alone. While her determination was strong, she needed the legal expertise and influence to make her move successful. Fortunately, Carly had someone she could rely on. Monica, a woman of immense power and influence in Port Charles. Monica, with her vast network of contacts and deep connections in the legal community, was the perfect ally to help Carly fight for the custody of her grandchildren. Together, they formulated a plan that would not only expose the cruelty of Drew and Willow's plot but also secure Wiley and Amelia's future with the family that could truly care for them. With Monica's guidance, Carly immediately filed for custody of Wiley and Amelia. She knew that the legal battle would be challenging, but she was prepared to fight with everything she had. Her primary goal was clear: to ensure that her grandchildren were kept far away from Drew and Willow, who, in her eyes, were unfit to provide the stable and loving home the children needed. The more Carly considered the situation, the clearer it became that the only way to protect her grandchildren was to regain guardianship and bring them back into the safety of her home. But Carly's efforts weren't just about taking legal action, they were a battle for the children's emotional and physical well-being. She knew that in the hands of Drew and Willow, Wiley and Amelia would be subjected to instability, manipulation, and an environment that wasn't safe for them. The moment Carly took the steps to file for custody, it was as though she had set into motion a powerful force, an unstoppable wave of determination and love that she would stop at nothing to see through. Carly's heart raced as she prepared for the legal battle ahead. But in her heart, she knew there was no turning back. She wasn't just fighting for her grandchildren's future, she was fighting for their safety, their happiness, and their right to grow up in a loving, supportive environment. With Monica by her side and an unshakable will, Carly was ready to take on whatever it took to protect her family. This was no longer just a battle for custody. It was a fight to save her grandchildren from the sinister forces that sought to tear their lives apart. In that moment, Carly knew that the stakes were higher than ever before. The future of Wiley and Amelia depended on her actions, and she was more determined than ever to see them safe, back with the people who would love and protect them the most. As Carly and Monica began drafting the petition and formulating their legal strategy, they realized that this wasn't just a fight for custody of the children, but a fight for survival, one where the future of Wiley and Amelia, along with the stability of Carly's family, was at risk. Every move they made was executed with decisiveness and caution because they knew that each decision could change everything. With Monica's legal expertise and Carly's unyielding determination, they quickly realized that their plan had to be not only strong legally, but also backed by key relationships within the power structure of Port Charles. Monica, with her long-standing influence in the community and deep connections in the legal system, became an indispensable ally in this fight. She wasn't just a skilled doctor but also someone with profound knowledge of sophisticated legal strategies. With every step, Monica could swiftly identify gaps in the legal system and leverage her network of influential people to create a solid support system for Carly. They knew that without such strong backing from important figures, it would be difficult to take down Drew and Willow, who had been plotting their schemes for far too long. Carly understood that this wasn't just about gaining custody of Wiley and Amelia, it was about protecting her family from the dark forces that Drew and Willow could bring into their lives. Drew and Willow's plans were more than just an attempt to take control of the children. They were part of a larger, more sinister plot that could harm the unborn child in Sasha's womb and destroy everything Carly had worked so hard to build in her family. The more Carly thought about the consequences, the more she realized that this situation could only get worse if left unchecked. With this in mind, Carly's instincts kicked in. She was no longer just a grandmother upset by her daughter-in-law's actions, she was now a woman on a mission to stop a tragedy. Without hesitation, Carly sprang into action, fully aware that time was of the essence. She knew that if she didn't act immediately, the unborn child would be in grave danger, not only because of Drew and Willow's plot but also because they had no regard for what was truly best for the child. Carly knew she couldn't wait any longer, her family's future depended on her next move. Carly couldn't do this alone. While her resolve was unshakable, she needed legal expertise and the influence to make her move successful. Luckily, Carly had someone she could count on, Monica, a woman of immense power and influence in Port Charles. Monica, with her vast network of contacts and deep connections within the legal community, was the perfect ally to help Carly fight for custody of her grandchildren. Together, they crafted a plan that would not only expose the cruelty of Drew and Willow's plot but also secure the future of Wiley and Amelia, ensuring that they were kept far away from their manipulative influence. With Monica's guidance, Carly immediately filed for custody of Wiley and Amelia. She knew that the legal battle would be tough, but she was prepared to fight with everything she had. Her goal was clear, to ensure that her grandchildren were no longer exposed to Drew and Willow, whom she felt were unfit to provide the stable and loving home they needed. The more Carly considered the situation, the more it became clear that the only way to protect her grandchildren was to regain guardianship and bring them back into the safety of her home. But Carly's efforts weren't just about taking legal action, they were a fight for the children's emotional and physical well-being. She knew that if Wiley and Amelia remained with Drew and Willow, they would be subjected to instability, manipulation, and an unsafe environment. The moment Carly made the decision to file for custody, it was as if she had set an unstoppable force into motion, a wave of determination and love that she would see through to the end. With everything in place, Carly began to feel a sense of reassurance. She knew that with Monica by her side and the support of influential figures in Port Charles, they could create an impenetrable force to take on Drew and Willow. They weren't just protecting Wiley and Amelia. They were protecting her entire family from the dangers that Drew and Willow were trying to create. Carly's every move was deliberate and sure, knowing that protecting her family was her highest priority. As Carly took each step in her strategy, every decision she made was calculated, ensuring that she was one step closer to safeguarding her grandchildren's future. She was prepared for a long fight, but in her heart, she knew that there was no turning back. This was no longer just a battle for custody, it was a fight to keep her family intact and ensure that Wiley and Amelia had a future filled with love, stability, and safety. With Monica's support and Carly's unwavering determination, they were ready to face whatever came their way to protect their loved ones. In the end, Wiley's actions, though completely unintentional, became the decisive turning point that saved his unborn sibling. Despite being just a child, Wiley demonstrated a remarkable instinct to protect his family, coupled with an incredible courage that surpassed his years. He didn't fully understand the gravity of what he had overheard between Drew and Willow, nor could he comprehend the sinister implications of their plans. However, his ability to sense danger and his strong sense of familial loyalty led him to take action in a way that would prove to be vital for the safety of his unborn sibling and the future of his entire family. Wiley's innocent revelation to Carly was not only a moment of clarity, but it became the catalyst that allowed Carly to recognize the immediate threat posed by Drew and Willow. Without knowing all the details, Wiley's disclosure struck a chord with Carly, allowing her to understand the full scope of the danger that was looming over her grandchildren. If it weren't for Wiley's intervention, Carly might have missed the early signs of a much darker plot, one that could have had irreversible consequences for the baby Sasha was carrying. Through his actions, Wiley had unwittingly uncovered a layer of deception that had gone unnoticed, providing Carly with the crucial information she needed to stop Drew and Willow's plans before they could come to fruition. Although Wiley had no idea just how critical his words were, they ultimately prevented a tragedy. His simple, innocent disclosure saved not only the life of his unborn sibling but also provided Carly with the clarity she needed to take action. In that moment, Wiley did something far beyond his years, he safeguarded his family, and in doing so, he helped ensure that his siblings would not fall victim to the dark, manipulative forces at play. His instinct to speak out, even when he didn't fully understand the consequences, played a pivotal role in protecting his family from what could have been a life-altering catastrophe. What Wiley did wasn't just about protecting himself, it was about protecting his family from a future filled with uncertainty and peril. His small, seemingly insignificant action prevented a tragedy, sparing his unborn sibling from the threat of being manipulated for financial gain and, more importantly, providing a chance for the child to grow up in a stable, loving environment. In a family already fraught with tension and intrigue, Wiley's act of courage was a beacon of hope, preventing what could have been a devastating turn of events for his entire family. In the larger picture, Wiley's unintended bravery also had a profound impact on Carly's ability to reclaim custody of her grandchildren. Without the information Wiley unknowingly provided, Carly might have struggled to uncover the full extent of Drew and Willow's plans in time. But thanks to Wiley's timely intervention, Carly was able to act swiftly and decisively, ensuring that Wiley and Amelia were brought back into the care of a loving, protective family, one that would prioritize their safety and well-being above all else. Through his actions, Wiley not only saved his sibling but also helped steer his family away from a path that could have led to deep heartbreak and regret. He did something that, in the moment, he likely didn't realize was so crucial. But his bravery, though unintentional, became the key to stopping a tragedy and securing a future for his family, one where they would be free from the manipulations and dangers that had threatened to tear them apart. In the end, Wiley's instinct to protect those he loved, even in the face of uncertainty, proved to be the saving grace his family needed.